And I'll go ahead and get started. Again, this is one of our series for the year, the 2022 Skills Series. So we've done a few of these already. We have one tomorrow, and then 3 or 4 in October. And so these are just free 30, 35-minute presentations. We don't get too super in-depth in the technology, but we do kind of cover the high points. So I will do a little quick and dirty demonstration, but it's going to be pretty rough. Like as far as, we're not going to make it all pretty and professional looking, but we're going to talk about the technology that goes into it in our presentation. So first of all, a primer on Power Apps. The Power Apps is part of the Power Platform suite. It includes Power Automate, Power BI, Power Pages, which used to be called the Power Portal, or the Power Apps Portal. That is a website that you can build using Power Apps for internal use or external use for your clients. So it's a portal where you could, for example, show them information that they need, capture information from them, do some analysis and all of that stuff. And then Power Virtual Agents, which Power Virtual Agents goes with the Power AI, the artificial intelligence, also known as machine learning part of Power Apps. So we can do some machine learning and AI functionality inside of Power Automate and use the virtual agents as well for that. Dynamics 365 for customer engagement, which is the CRM solution, lives inside of Power Apps now. It used to be a completely different system, and now it's, if you go into Power Apps, you see all of the tables that go with Microsoft Dynamics 365 for customer engagement. That's not the same for Dynamics GP. For those of you on GP, that's its own database that lives in SQL that's on your server, so completely different. However, we can connect to that information. Power Apps uses Dataverse. Dataverse is, Microsoft is famous for renaming their technology. Dataverse was called the Common Data Service up until about a year or two ago. Before that, it was just, they were called entities and now they're called tables. So don't be surprised if you see a term that you're not familiar with. It's probably because Microsoft has changed the name of it, not because it's brand new. And as I mentioned earlier, Power Apps can be combined with other parts of Power Platform, and that includes Power BI and Power Query, and then also Power Automate, which I will be doing a Power Automate presentation next month, but I know some of the folks on here have already used Power Automate in depth. So yeah, I won't get into that too much today, but I will say that we have at other clients, we've built these Power Apps Canvas apps, which is what I'm going to show you today for a mobile or a tablet application. And behind the scenes, we have Power Automate flows running that are automating things that you don't necessarily see on the mobile app, but it's all running behind the scenes. So the whole point of Power Platform is this low code solution. The way that it came about, and I love this story, is it was like a coding competition that Microsoft had. It was either at a college or Microsoft had put it on themselves, and they had a team, and this team decided what they wanted to build was a tool or a platform for non-coders, non-developers, to be able to develop their own functionality with drag and drop and templates and all of that stuff. It was so popular that Microsoft bought it. And the guy that won this competition, young guy, way younger than me, is like a senior vice president at Microsoft now. And so I just love that story. So yeah, so when you log into Power Platform, you see the apps, the flows, the pre-built templates, and the AI components, the machine learning components, sort of laid out for you in a very user-friendly, non-developy way. Now, what can also happen is professional developers can use this platform, because it is a good platform, and extend the functionality and the connectivity and do things like connect into GP and connect into, outside APIs and things like that. So it's really, really flexible. And of course, it integrates with all of the Microsoft products like Office and SharePoint. And I noticed that they have connections now to all of the Google apps and also Salesforce. And then as you're looking through the library of connections, you can see there's many, many more. So we can take a look at that shortly. I'm going to stop for a second, and if anybody has any questions or anything that came to mind, pop it in the chat. I'll be happy to answer. Okay, gonna keep on going. Looks like everybody's good so far. So here's some examples of things you could do with Power Apps. Employee onboarding. So, you bring someone new in and you hand them a tablet with a predefined Power App on it, and it walks them through the process of filling out all of their forms and maybe signing up for insurance, maybe setting up their direct deposit, and then maybe doing some training, and then maybe doing some certification. So that would be one really good example of taking advantage of this Power App platform. Field scheduling and ticketing, that's a really common one. Looking up important customer information. So I'll use AIM Technologies as an example. If we were to build a Power App, probably for our phones, because let's face it, we all use our phones in the field probably 90% of the time, where we could go and look up a client, and in that client, we could see all of the information that we need to know about what version of Dynamics they're using, what version of SQL they're using, if they have any warranties that go with any of their servers that we're supporting, things like that right there on our hand without having to log into a system or call somebody or, store that all locally. I think that would be really powerful. So I have other customers that are tracking interactions with their customers in the field. So service activities, logging when sales folks go in and speak with them, and also automation behind the scenes saying, okay, you talked to them 3 months ago. It's really time to reach back out. Here's an email from Power Automate that sends them a notice. Hey, it's time to talk to these people again. The expense approval system, that one is actually one of the really powerful pre-written templates. They also have this IT service requests, which is a really powerful pre-written app that you can sort of customize for yourself. And then one of the neat ones that I saw was this crisis communication amongst employees. And I know when we have a hurricane and we're getting ready, we're talking to our customers, we're also talking amongst ourselves about how to reach out in the event that there is some sort of catastrophic IT failure. Now, we're in the cloud, so a lot of that is kind of, back when you used to have an Exchange server and it was in a closet in New Orleans and you had to worry about it going underwater. That's not really all that common anymore. But what is common is, people are out talking to folks, and they're like, I need to get a technician out here, and his phone's not working. So this crisis communication, where no matter where they are, using alternative methods of communication during, a hurricane or whatever, there's all kinds of stuff going on right now, is a really cool, powerful idea. So this is a link. When the webinar is over, I will send out this slide deck so that you can actually click on this link. But it's got demos of real world examples of Power Apps, and I thought it was a pretty interesting resource. So licensing of Power Apps, some of the subscriptions to Power Apps you may already own because of Dynamics 365. So if you're using Dynamics 365 or certain parts of Office 365, then you may already have the licensing that's necessary to give you this functionality. If you don't, or if you're not sure, we can certainly log into your system, to your records with Microsoft and determine what you already have. But, the per app plan per user, per app, per month is $5 a month. And that includes one app or portal. For the unlimited, which would mean you could have as many apps as you wanted for any user, it's $20 a month. So if you were planning on building multiple apps for your users, that would be the one that you would want to do. And then there's the there's one that's kind of interesting, and that is pay as you go. So you can have per month, you know, a $10 active user, but if they don't hit the app that month, then you don't get billed for them. So that's for maybe larger organizations where, you know, you might have 500 employees, but only 15 are going to use the app this month or whatever. So those are the options. And again, depending on some of your Office 365 licenses and some of your Dynamics 365 licenses, you may not even have to worry about any of this. Oh, and this is another, again, this link will be in the slide deck, but if you are ready to build and test Power Apps, this is the developer plan. It is completely free. You can't build anything that is then in production being used by anybody else, but you can use it to build it and test it and then put it in production completely for free. And you have access to the Power Apps, the Dataverse, which is the database, the 600 pre-built connectors. So it's certainly worth looking at and playing with if you're interested in building a mobile app or a portal or whatever it is that you might be interested in. So in our example scenario, we're going to pretend that we're an appliance repair company that has this huge knowledge base, and we have all these technicians that are out in the field and they're working on dishwashers and dryers and all different models and all different brands. But we have this big knowledge base of articles that they could use, but they only have their phones or a tablet out in the field. They may not even have really good internet connectivity, but at least they have cellular. So when we go to build it, for our technicians, we're going to go into this make.powerapps.com/environments. I already have it loaded, so let me reshare my screen. So I'm going to stop sharing for a second. There we go. So this is my demo environment. I use this all the time, so it's got all kind of funky stuff in it. But I wanted to point out a few aspects of the make.powerapps.com environment. So you can see there's this home page, which has all of these sort of, starting points for different apps. And then there's some learning, and then there's the database of your apps, so the things that you've built. And then as you go down, you could see that there's this sub area called Dataverse, and that's that database I was talking about where you have the tables and the choices and things like that. And then Flows, which is the Power Automate section. So if you're connecting any of your apps or your tables or any of your forms to automation, that would be where you would go. Chatbots and AI Builder, they sort of work together to build, sort of artificial intelligence. It's pretty basic from what I understand, but it does live there. And then solutions. Solutions are where you can build different sort of componentized projects and then put them all together and move them between environments and whatnot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually open the repair library canvas that I've already built. And the reason is because I want to show you what it looks like when we're done so that you have an idea of what we're building towards. So I'm just going to run it. If I was on my phone, it would sort of look like this because it's a phone is pretty narrow. And I, again, did not make it pretty. I essentially just connected the data in and built a search so that, if my repairman is out and he wanted to, he's working on a dishwasher with a leaky gasket, he could go and he could say gasket, and it would pull up the KB or the knowledge base article, or you could say dishwasher. And if I had any brand information in my database, he could also search on brand. I didn't get that far. And then the summary of, what the knowledge base says. We could also, if we wanted, add images and things like that. I just sort of created this, here are the steps to repairing the leaky gasket. You can use your imagination on how that could be used to extend. Again, if you don't have anything in the search, then you see the full library of all of the articles that are available. But we've also limited the list of articles that are available to only those that have been published. So in the knowledge base, people could create articles, but they need to be reviewed and published and approved and all that before they would show up in the app that we've built for our repairmen. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to sort of walk into the app that was built by hitting edit. This opens up the Canvas work area. Canvas, again, is just the term that they use for these apps that they're building or that we're building. You can choose between tablet orientation and phone orientation. For the one that I created, I chose phone because I feel like a lot of folks are using their phones these days for pretty much everything. So I guess you have to keep that in mind. However, if an app is, if it needs to be more tablet, like when we talked about earlier with the employee onboarding, that would probably be better on a tablet than it would be on a phone. But the option is there for both. So when I started, I'm going to add a new screen here. And it's just a blank screen. This is what it looked like. It was just basic connect to data, add an item from the insert pane. So the insert pane is right here. And these are all of the different types of things that you can add to an app that you're building. And again, this is designed where, it could be a citizen developer, someone who's not really necessarily trained in, hard coding type things, sort of like me. Or it could be, someone much more adept at all of the things. And so it gives you the options for both. And so this one, for example, these layouts, these are really nice because that vertical layout that we saw when we were looking at our app, it's easy to add it. And then you just have to know what you want to connect it to. And you can drag and drop just like I mentioned earlier. It's sort of what they call WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. When you build these, you're previewing what it's actually going to look like as you're building. So here it's asking me to select a data source. And I happen to know that in my database, the table name is knowledge articles. But I could search through all of the tables in my current environment. I can search other connectors and bring in things from Sales Insights or Microsoft Office Outlook or SharePoint. SharePoint's really powerful in connection with Power Apps and Power Platform. SQL Server, again, connecting into Dynamics 365 data, getting it out, putting it on a phone for somebody to use and take advantage of. But I'm going to go ahead and choose the knowledge articles and see exactly what we saw before. We're seeing again. You can change the layout over here on this side where instead of showing the picture, because I don't have images associated with these, I could show just the number, the knowledge article number, the name, and this, I don't know what one is, but you could change even this individual data point. So instead of it being that number that we don't know what it is, it could be something else. Here's where it gets a little, I wouldn't say developer-y, but more like maybe Excel formula language type stuff up at the top. You kind of need to learn and play with this, function area, because then you can get sort of more information or more flexibility from what you're bringing in. Okay, here's a good example. I changed, instead of that one, I changed it to the keywords that are associated with the article. So that's an easy thing that you can do to give them more information. Or let's say we also have categories that go along with these knowledge base articles, although that's probably a drop down. So that one would be a little bit more difficult to expose. Let's see what else we have here. Maybe we just want to say that this was published on, like maybe the date that it was built, so that people can see. Well, I guess there's no data there, but when it was created, so that they can see what the most recent articles are, things like that. So you can change all of that, and then you can click, or you can add the functionality that says when someone clicks on this arrow here, what it's going to do, the action is it's going to open the article. And so this would be what the next screen looks like, where it has the information that came from the knowledge base article. One of the tricky things that I came across yesterday when I was building this this app, sort of practicing, was that this information out of the box is HTML. It's marked up. And so if you're looking at it and you want to see what it says, it's got all of the, tags in it. And actually, I'll just add a field. Notice I'm using this really nice ribbon up here to add a field. I'm going to add the content card again, but I'm just going to add it as a regular card. And if I scroll down, see, this is what I'm talking about. It had all of this markup in it. And I thought, well, gosh, I hope I'm not really stuck with having to show my user all of the markup that goes along with making this a pretty page. But I wasn't, because you can insert HTML text. And so, that's what I did. I just went up to the insert and I grabbed this HTML text, and I was able to display it in a much more user-friendly way. The next thing that I did was I added this search, because let's assume that this user might have thousands of articles to look through, and you don't want to have them scrolling and things like that. So we added the search. So there's, when you can insert, let's see, text labels and inputs. Here we go. This would say an input, text input box right here that we added. And when we, let's see, we put hint text in for search, right? And then we also added sort of a, let's see, a formula for what we're searching on. It actually didn't go in this associated with this control. It's actually got associated with this gallery that was added. And by default, it was just filtering this list. Oops, I did not mean to do that. So I had to add this search, and so I just had to add to this formula the search information. So what this formula is saying is search on this filtered view that is being shown, which is knowledge articles that are only the ones that are published knowledge articles, not all of the knowledge articles in the whole database. And then what we're going to search on is this text one input. That's that text box that I added that was the search. And then these are the things that we're going to search. These are the fields that we're going to search, so that if they type in part of the title of the knowledge article or any of the keywords that have been associated with the knowledge article, it's going to return those values. And so that was it's a really quick way to add functionality and user friendliness. And then of course, anything that you want to do any type of theming, like you can change the colors and it sort of pre-formats things for you so they look nice. You can add any of the background images. What I also like to see when I'm working in an app is that on any of the pages that open, I have some options up here that say, if I click this X, it's just going to take me straight. It's going to navigate me straight back to this screen. And so the way that you do that, let's say, for example, you wanted to add a new icon that rather than taking you back to rather than taking you back to the home screen when you hit X, or let's say you want to go to the next screen, let's do a checkbox. And we can put that checkbox over here, maybe on this right side. And then all we have to do is, you see it says on select. And you can also see over here, there's sort of two ways to get to this information. We can say on select up here in the function, sort of like we would in Excel. We want to navigate, and we want to navigate to screen 2. That's that new screen that I just added. So it really wouldn't make sense to navigate to that new screen, but just for the purposes of describing, how this would work and how you would add information or add navigation, I'm showing you this. The other cool thing is to preview the app. All I have to do is I can either hit F5 and it'll open it up and I can see as I'm going, what it's doing. Or I can hit this play button and it previews it. And so here, I'm actually on the 3rd screen and I didn't put any navigation, so I'm stuck. So I'm actually going to go back to the 1st screen and hit the preview. And again, I can do the searching. I can see if that searching is working the way that I want it to. I can play with the navigation and go back and forth. And then I can hit the X and go right back into where I was editing and adding new screens and new navigation, new functionality. Since we're almost at the 30-minute mark, I just wanted to go back to when I hit back, it's going to ask me if I want to save. I'm going to leave the app because I didn't really make any substantial changes. But if I'd have saved, it would have taken me back and said, do you want to publish your changes? And so when you publish your changes, it makes it available to everyone who's using the app. One question that I often get is, how do users access the app? Well, for one thing, if they have an Office, user login, then that's the login that they would use for any Power Apps or things like that. So the same thing that they use to log into Windows or Outlook would be the username and password they would use for this. On an iPhone or an Android, you would go into the App Store and you would search for Power Apps. There's a Power Apps app. And so you download that app and you create a connection to your company, and it shows you all of the apps inside of the Power Automate app that are available to you, and you just choose the one. And you can select favorites, and you can have it load automatically when you click on that app, things like that. And then every time somebody makes a change in the background, when a user logs into the Power App, it lets them know there's a new version available, refresh it, and it gives you the latest and greatest that's been published. But I also wanted to show sort of the ability to build starting from a template. So let's say that I want to build a blank Canvas app. And I want to go to here we go. Start from template. These are the templates. Some of these that I mentioned earlier are, out there for the community to build upon, like the employee self-service or the onboarding tasks. And they are, already pre-formatted, and all you have to do is connect it into your data and make it, customized for your company. I'll also find that in some cases, this is a really good way to get a really pretty app and then change the background, the behind the scenes information and data that's being just deployed, but you still get the nice, pretty, like, for example, this site inspection has all the pictures and all that stuff. So, that is a good place to start. And then you can choose from this also, there's some Office templates. These don't really require a whole lot of database functionality. They're really built to work with Outlook and calendars and things like that your organization may have. Here's a nice help desk where you can start a ticket for help from anywhere in the organization. And it goes to the IT department or maybe the IT company that's supporting you. So those are great starting points, and plenty of learning opportunities. So there's lots of, get started. There's a community of people who, do this, and they publish articles about how they do it. So there's lots of resources there as well. Please feel free to follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook, and our website obviously has all of our contact information as well. So